continuing the thread of me yelling at you for something that you haven't done yet, academic dishonesty and plagiarism. Okay, so what's cheating, what's not? There's an honor code in the student handbook for an official definition. It's generally taking somebody else's idea and using it in part or in whole and passing it off as your own without attribution, right? It's taking somebody else's work, or technically even your own. You can plagiarize yourself, right? It is taking previously done work and passing it off as your own original and current work. Generally speaking, if you feel like you're trying to get away with something, you usually are. Okay, your gut is usually a good barometer for whether or not you are playing fast and loose with things. Okay. What are the consequences should this happen? Any instance will be reported to student services. Assignments or labs may result in a 0 for the grade of the assignment or an F for the course. Generally, assignments and labs, it'll be a 0 for the assignment, generally speaking. However, if there are 2 instances in the semester, or there's an instance on either the midterm or the final, it's just an F for the course. I'm not playing, right? We can't do that. Tests are different things. Okay? And everyone can make a mistake. Right? Oh, I didn't realize that this was inappropriate. Oh, I didn't realize how to cite things. Oh, I didn't realize how to how to let you know that I used this. I get that. Totally get that. So that's why you get a warning in a way, right? And it's not a warning. If you plagiarize, you plagiarize. But I'm not going to throw you out of class for one mistake on an assignment. However, you do it again, that becomes a problem. Understand that if you get an F for academic dishonesty, it will show up on your transcript as an FD, and it will result you being removed from the course. Okay, and this could theoretically affect your financial aid status or your visa if you're on visa, because it could move you to a part-time student. I'm telling you all these things so you're warned. I'm not threatening you. Please understand that. I don't ever want to use the contents of these slides. However, I got to make sure that you're doing your own work. Okay? So, how do we avoid cheating? Do your own work. Do original work for this class. Okay? Some of you who have done programming in other languages or even in Python or, whatever, those of you who have done programming in any state at any complexity might have done assignments that are similar to some of the things I'm going to ask you to do this semester. Okay. Don't just turn those assignments in. Do them for this class. Self-plagiarism is a thing. And think about it this way, right? If you're super advanced and you're like, that's easy, it shouldn't take you long to do the assignment. And if you're not, if you're like, God, I did it once and that was a struggle, well, then you need to practice coding. So take the advantage of it, right? The whole goal here is transparency and attribution. So citing your work is the key thing. Okay, when you're in an English class or a communications class, they're very keen on citation styles. In code, if you're doing coding, typically you will see, if you go like on a Git repo, they'll say, hey, this is free for you to use. Just include in your code a comment that says, used from this person's Git repo, and include a link to my Git repo. That's it. Right? That's how you cite code. Okay. If you use something from somewhere else, just let me know where you got it. Let me know what you used, where you got it, and what you're using it for. And keep in mind, I cannot give you credit for somebody else's work, and I cannot give you credit for work that you have done previously. Okay. You can base work off of other people's stuff if it's properly attributed, and I'll grade what you did. Okay, so a quick story. I was teaching a class about 5 years ago, and I had 2 students turn in code that wasn't their own. The first person did not tell me that it wasn't their code, passed it off as their code, and then did the rest of the lab, right, which was analysis based off of that code. The second person said, I couldn't get the code to work. Here's code that I found. Found it at this place. I didn't do really anything with it. And then my analysis will be based off of that code. Okay. First person got hit for academic dishonesty and plagiarism because they passed off somebody else's work without attribution. They gave me something that was not theirs and said it was their own. So they got the academic dishonesty, the report to student services, the 0 on the assignment. Person number 2 got a 0 on the question because I can't grade something that isn't theirs. I could not grade their code. It wasn't their code, but their analysis was their own analysis. So they got full credit for that analysis. So yeah, they got a 60% on the lab because 40% of the lab was the code. But getting a 0 on the question is way better than getting a 0 on the assignment. Okay. When in doubt, ask if something is acceptable. Is collaboration acceptable? Okay. Yes, but you have to do it in a transparent way. So coding is inherently a collaborative thing. The number of times where I've said to a coworker or my wife, hey, could you come here and I'm going to walk you through this code and you just tell me when I stop making sense. Or, hey, can you take a look? I'm missing something and I can't figure out where it is. And I'll tell stories about that this semester. I'm certain about it. But that's part of the process, right? You need to be able to collaborate in order to be the most successful that you can be as a developer, as a software engineer, as a coder. Okay? But the key is that you still are expected to turn in your own work. What does this mean? Okay? It means if you're working with someone else, work together, don't work off of each other. Okay? Don't look at their screen and say, how are you doing it? And then start typing what they're doing. And for the love of God, do not pass code files back and forth or answers back and forth. That always ends up being a problem for the person who gave the answers. Okay. Every semester, I run into a problem where 2 people submit the same assignment. And what it turns out is person 1 was confused, asked person 2 for some help. Person 2 gave them their code as a reference. Person 1 then just turns in that code, changes the name, and turns in the code. And then both people get hit. Okay. So when in doubt, you got to let us know who you worked with. Okay. I need to know who's responsible for what aspect of the work. If you worked extensively with someone else, let me know. Okay. If there's no statement, if there's no acknowledgement of collaboration, and there's a strong similarity between code, okay, and understand code is like writing a paper. Right? People have style, people have voice, people have approaches, and you can generally tell if something is stylistically similar. If there's no acknowledgement of collaboration, I have to take that as plagiarism. By the way, all of this applies to generative AI. All of this applies to ChatGPT. If you take code from ChatGPT and pass it off as your own, that is academic dishonesty. If I figure that out, that's academic dishonesty. Okay. Generative AI is super useful for sanity checking or for debugging or rubber ducking, right? Rubber ducking is a software engineering concept of talking to a rubber duck like I would do to my coworker or my wife, right? Explaining things, vocalizing what you're thinking, and getting feedback from somebody. But we are trying to teach you these concepts. We're trying to teach you how to do these low-level things. And I'm not interested in grading how ChatGPT does, or whatever generative AI you're using. Okay, so you have to let me know if you use a tool, other than your own brain in your own textbook.